And it works. That's what I'm talking about. No more ballasts, no more fluorescent tubes, none of this junk. You just turn the light on and it works. I'm Brian, this is Dad Rambles. If you want to see me make this light, stick around. So the light's constructed of an inner and outer frame here. So I cut the two side rails and the two end rails of the outer frame here. 45-degree angles cut with my miter saw. Made sure that those were exactly the same length when I cut them so that they would fit correctly. Mark both of those and cut both of those. After I had all those pieces cut, I used some Titebond glue and my nail gun with some 1-inch nails to nail the whole thing together. I checked the whole thing for square, corner to corner, and then I let that piece. The next step was to cut the inside frame from some 1.5-inch pine boards that I had to make the inner design for that. This is the design I chose. There's about 1.5 inch gap all the way around, and you can see here how that's put together. I glued and nailed all this stuff up in a similar manner as I did the outside frame. I just used some Titebond again and some brad nails to put it together. On the parts where I didn't want its nails showing on the outside, I used just clamps and glue and glued the whole thing up. The next step was to use some 3/16-inch plywood that I had to cut as the backer board for the light. I also used some 3/4-inch 1x material to cut some spacers that will space that piece down just a bit. Alright, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the assembly here of the frame of the light. I've got the backing plate cut here for the light, and I've got the frame here that we made of the light. All right, and this is going to be the top side of the frame. All right, so here you have the bottom side. This is the side you will see of the light. This will be the top side. This is the side that mounts to the ceiling. What I'm going to do is space up the wooden backing plate that's going to hold the metal. I'm going to space that up so that it's we have some space behind it to put the electrical parts, to put the wiring and all when we mount this thing to the ceiling. The way we're going to use that, or the way we're going to do that, we're going to take these spacers right here. I've cut these spacers. These are just pieces of boards, 3/4 inch by 1 inch high. The inch is what I want. I want it to sit 1 inch up from the top. So what we do is we put those in here. We space those around. They don't have to go the continuous length. They can, but I just had some scraps to put in there. Then we're going to take the board that we cut. This board is made to cut to fit inside of the frame here. We're going to take that board, and we're going to set it down in here. Okay, that way that board fits. Next thing I did was to take those pieces apart and put the inside frame on top of the backer plate, put the backer plate on top of the metal, and then trace the metal so that I would know exactly what size to cut that metal. Taking the quilted aluminum piece that I just traced out, putting it down, and using my metal shears to trim that piece out. I'm trimming that all the way around, nice and tight to that line. Metal in, I put the outside frame. I decided that before I was going to assemble everything permanently, I wanted to fill the nail holes on the outside here and also do the stain. So I filled all the nail holes and sanded all those and got that ready to stain. After all those nail holes were filled, I sanded it down and then I put a coat of dark stain on it. We've got some other things in our kitchen that match this, so this was the stain we used. You could certainly paint it or do pretty much whatever kind of finish you wanted to here. Alright, so I put the coats of lacquer on it, and then I took the metal piece and I just laid it in to the frame here. And then I took the piece here. This looks like it's not finished, but it's just dirt and sawdust I've got to clean up. So took that piece and laid it in there, and I was trying to figure out how to attach the metal. And I think once I get this in here, the frame itself will pretty much hold the metal in there. I don't know, I might change my mind, but I think it does. So that's about it for the frame, for the metal, for the inner frame. And now it's time to attach the attach this piece, which I'm going to do with a nail gun from the back, and then I'll get ready to put the lights in. So I bought some vintage style cloth wiring off of Amazon, and also some keyless sockets is what they're called. Wired those up. Then I found a good spacing and spaced the holes out in the metal. I used tape. After I wired those up, I used zip ties on the back that stop the wires from pulling through. For the mounting attachments, I used a couple of 1x material, and I attached those on the studs in the ceiling on the rafters there, and those were spaced so that they would sit just inside of my framing on my light. Alright, so as you can see, the light's done. It's over. I've got it finished. I've got it hung. It was pretty easy, pretty inexpensive, not that difficult. I think I spent about $100 on this. The main wood that I used here was pine for the frame of the light. You certainly could do poplar or oak or pretty much any wood there if you wanted to, depending on your budget, depending on the look you wanted to achieve. I did stain. The reason I did stain, a couple things, is it fits my area well, and also it is pretty forgiving. The dark stain there is pretty forgiving on that pine wood, and pretty forgiving of any holes that you would have to patch. I had to do nail holes on the edges of these, but I stained those right up and those look fine, so that worked out well. You'll notice the metal that I used on here, that's the quilted aluminum panels that I made in a previous video. If you'll check out the link below, there'll be a link to that to show you how to make that. Pretty simple, pretty easy. You could use it in a lot of different projects like this. So if you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button below. That really helps me out a lot. Hit that subscribe button as well, and every time I post a video, you'll get a new update that I've posted video. You can follow my channel, follow what I'm building. Also, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you're building. If you build a light like this, or if you build something similar, like to know how it works out. So again, this is Brian, dadrambles.com. Thanks for watching.